I really should start writing more M. Night Shyamalan fan fiction. Who are you?
I am Robot from the future. I have come to warn you about evil corporations.
Oh no! What do these evil corporations do in the future? Do they conduct mass famines? Send political dissidents to work camps? Or do they conduct purges of millions of people that no one talks about?
No, something much worse. They make profits.
Wait, how is that bad?
Profits make it impossible for everyone to be equally poor.
Wait, you're a communist?
Yes. All cool people in the future are communist. Just like all the cool edgy teenagers are communist.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yes, it does. Edgy teenagers lack that pesky thing known as life experience. This makes their opinions the only valid ones.
Oh my god. You're right. My whole life is a lie. Welcome to Reviews of Reviews, the show where I review film reviews. This week we're looking at Ghost in the Shell. For you non-weeaboo savages watching this, Ghost in the Shell is a series based off of a 1989 manga. The manga itself spawned 2 animated films and also spawned an anime TV show. What some of you might not know is that the manga is based off of William Shakespeare's Richard III. Now that we're all caught up on Ghost in the Shell history, let's take a look at our first review, which comes from the YouTube channel What the Flick.
We're talking about Ghost in the Shell, which Matt also saw, but he unfortunately could not be here. I think he has thoughts on it, maybe.
No doubt.
So this is a live-action remake of the animated...
With an opening like that, you can tell you're in for a real treat.
Yeah, it's a live-action remake of the 1995 anime feature, which was in turn an adaptation of manga.
I already said that! Why are you repeating me?
And it is set in a future where people's brains and souls and spirits, or their ghost, can exist inside of super badass robots, which are the Shell. And we have Scarlett Johansson as the Major, and she works for a unit of the Department of Defense and is trying to figure out who is bumping off executives at a robotics company, and of course discovers that things are way more complicated than she originally expected.
Despite the weird opening, What the Flick does a good job of summarizing the events of the film itself and setting it up for you. They definitely do a better job than I could have done, considering after the film was over, I didn't even know what it was about. That's not true. It's not that I didn't know, it's just that I didn't care what the film was about.
I enjoy the increasing dehumanization and defeminization of Scarlett Johansson. I like that this is where she has chosen to go with her career.
Right.
Because she's so gorgeous and she's so like uber feminine and curvy, and she could very easily have made a career of just being beautiful, like playing curvy femme fatales.
Sure.
And I like that between this and her and Under the Skin and Lucy. Where she just straight up becomes a computer.
Yeah.
Like she's toying with her own image and her own sense of feminine power in ways that are challenging and that are usually pretty smart.
Yeah, because the one thing I didn't notice was Scarlett Johansson's femininity. Yeah, when she's in that robot suit, there's no way to tell that she's a woman. It's crazy.
I mean, I think what makes her interesting as a movie star is that she is so gorgeous, but at the same time comes off as somebody with a sense of humor about herself and the world, and is funny and relatable and empathetic, and none of that is here. She might as well be like gleep glorping, you know. It's so like monotone. And Ghost in the Shell, the previous film version in particular, was hugely influential, especially on The Matrix.
Yeah, clearly.
And so to watch this movie, this live action movie now following The Matrix, you know, it's sort of like, well, this kind of seems familiar, you know?
Actually, 2 really good points here. First, it's not just Scarlett Johansson, but it seems like most of the actors are off when it comes to their acting. Their performances, it kind of feels like they all filmed this in separate rooms and weren't able to interact with each other. With the exception of the Japanese guy, he did a really good job. Second, while the film looks really good, you're never like, wow, this is so cool, I've never seen anything like this. Instead, you're like, oh yeah, that's kind of like The Matrix, or oh yeah, that's kind of like Blade Runner. Overall, What the Flick has kind of a mixed bag of a review. They make some really good points, but there's some quirks and weirdness in their video, so I have to take some points off, because I try to avoid weirdness in all of my videos. But I'll still put it in the good pile, because they're both wearing pretty edgy shirts. Our next review comes from GameSpot. Ghost in the Shell review by Callie Plaggy. A ghost of something great. Oh, sick burn. Plaggy starts off by giving a pretty decent background of the series itself, but then she ends her first paragraph with this sentence. But Ghost in the Shell asks a lot of interesting questions that it neglects to answer in equally interesting ways, and its near total omission of Japanese voices and identities in a story about identity is a failure too great to ignore. Near total omission of Japanese identity and of Japanese voice? Yeah, I guess that's true. Except for the guy who only speaks in Japanese, and the other guy who speaks in Japanese, and the Japanese geishas in the film, and the Buddhists in the film, and the Japanese mom in the film, and the Japanese brain inside the robot in the film. Plaggy's review, as well as many of the reviews that came out for this film, focused way too much on the allegations of whitewashing. Plaggy has gems like this, but the reveal towards the end of the movie absolutely cements the race problem with this adaptation of Ghost in the Shell. Or this, and Ghost in the Shell neglects to address how race affects her in any way. What would you call a person who only sees race? A person who constantly has race on their mind? A person that when they watch a film, they can only see the race of the characters? What would you call that person? I wonder. But maybe Plaggy's right. Maybe we need to spend 1 minute comparing Scarlett Johansson to the original Ghost in the Shell, Motoko Kusanagi. Scarlett Johansson.
Load up the box and pile in the specimens. You've done your petri dishes proud. No need to wait for the boss if that's the spirit back there.
Motoko Kusanagi. Oh my god, this is racist! I can't believe Hollywood continues to whitewash characters like this. It's disgusting how some actors pretend to be a different race. You'd never see an actor pretend to have a disability.
Eddie Redmayne, The Theory of Everything.
And it's not just these white journalists that are outraged. People in Japan have had enough.
でも日本人がやるよりいいんじゃんって思うけどな。
結構似てるし全然はい悪くはないんじゃない。いやまあいろんな人がいるから、誰がやってもいいんじゃないかみたいな。
ちょっと日本人離れした方がぽいやんな。ぽいアニメ的には。
まあその人が実力があって選ばれたんやし、それはまあ仕方ないというか。
Plaggy throughout her review does make some critiques of the film, but overall it's dragged down by her obvious prejudice, so this review goes in the bad pile. Overall, Ghost in the Shell looks really good. I mean, I saw it in standard def and it looked good, so I can only imagine in 3D IMAX it looks amazing. I think the problem though is there's not enough action to compensate for the lack of plot, and the problem with the lack of plot is you don't care about the characters, so you don't really care about the consequence in the end. Like I said, if there was more action, if it knew it was just an action film, this could have worked really well. Or if it really fleshed out the plot, then the action wouldn't matter. It would just be a nice bonus. But because of that, it really does suffer. I mean, and the acting is just way off in a lot of scenes. And there were some points where I couldn't help but laugh, and I was trying not to because I was in the theater. But it's not worth spending the money to see it. Definitely, it's worth renting, maybe playing a drinking game based on the acting itself. But don't spend money to see this right now in theaters. Let me know what you thought about the film. Did you prefer the old one? Do you like the new one? If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. If you hated the video, be sure to subscribe because there's going to be more that you can hate on. And remember the most important lesson of all. Stay money.